Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Hey, thanks for being here. This is Light Diamond Creative YouTube channel, the meditation podcast series with yours truly, Martha. We've been going for a couple months now. We've got episodes on episodes. This is episode 13. Let me just rant off some of the other episode titles. If you would like to go back and listen from the beginning, episode 1, The Science of Meditation. Episode 2, Root Chakra Info and Intro Meditation. Episode 3, Root Chakra Deep Dive Discussion. That is a favorite one personally. Episode 4, Root Chakra Meditation with Sanskrit. Episode 5, The Buddhist Vows. That one was really fun too. Episode 6, The 3-Room Meditation. Episode 7, Comparing Perspectives and the 9-Chakra System. Episode 8, Root Chakra 90 Breath Initiation. It's not like that, okay? It's a cool initiation, an energetic initiation. Thank you. Episode 9, Collective Root Chakra Energy. Episode 10, Introduction to the Hara, which if you have been listening, you understand that the Hara in the 9-chakra system is like perceiving the first half or the lower half of the sacral, breaking the sacral into 2 separate spheres of energy, the Hara being the first, the Dantian being the second, and we haven't gotten into the Dantian yet. We might not for a while because the information in the root and the Hara is definitely enough to practice and learn about individually within meditation by oneself. So I may just cut off the podcast after we get through the Hara. We've got 4 more episodes. So anyways, yet to be determined. Not a threat by any means. I'm just saying, we got to be really grounded and practiced within the root and the Hara before the rest of the meditations come. That's how it was given to me. That's how I'm giving it to you all, because the root chakra is so important for creating a stable foundation so that we can open up the higher realms. Episode 11, Collective Hara Energy. Episode 12, The Hara and Personal Mission Activation. Ooh! Sounds so good. You can find Light Diamond Creative on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Venmo, and hey, this update just in on Cash App too. Now, this is free material, so please never feel obligated. This is free for collective benefit. And if you are overflowing in monetary abundance, you can feel free to find Light Diamond Creative on Cash App and or Venmo. You'll see the upgraded logo. Shout out to Austin Moore. Getting that logo so good. It's black and white. It's got the star and then the diamond over it. You know what it is. You'll know it when you see it. Okay, but for this episode today, the Hara, we're going to be tapping into a few concepts, and I feel like I always say this. I'll do my best to keep it short and sweet. Sometimes we do get carried away, though. So some of these concepts we'll be going over today is self-mastery versus control and how that relates to the Hara. We'll be touching on how to strengthen the Hara chakra using other areas that may be stronger, like the crown. Maybe we feel really strong in the third eye, first eye, brain center, pineal gland. Maybe we feel really strong in the heart space. So we'll be covering how we can strengthen weaker areas with the assistance of our strong points, and how to determine which areas within us and within the perspective of chakras, how we can determine which are strong and which are weak. And we'll also be briefly talking about clearing and blessing the spaces. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for listening. I'm doing this for you and for me because it feels so good to be sharing this information. If you have not listened to the other episodes, a couple important things for you to know. Number one, the 9 chakra practice is a Buddhist practice that has been given to me over the course of multiple years by an anointed Buddhist monk. The 9 chakra system is a beautiful way of perceiving the body. And if you're more familiar with the 7 chakra practice, awesome. I'm glad. Both systems, both perceptions of energy within the body can be extremely helpful in clearing out trauma, activating extrasensory gifts, and beyond. So you need to know that. And also the Hara basics. So the meditation practice has multiple aspects to it. Every chakra has a visualization. Every chakra has a Sanskrit mantra. Every chakra has a key word or phrase and concept that go along with it. For the Hara specifically, which is located at the navel, we would like to be aware of the side bodies, left and right, and the back body of the Hara. This is a sphere of energy. The points of focus within the Hara practice include the visualization of the central column, the prana tube, the vertebrae being an antenna, and energy shooting out of the antenna from the space of the Hara at the navel, and energy shooting into the body, into the antenna, lightning striking inward and outward as energy flows according to your personal experience. So what I may be experiencing in my Hara energy is likely different than what you are experiencing. So within the meditation practice, as we visualize this flow of energy in and out, it is up to the individual to perceive, determine, intuit what their individual energetic flow is like. Exploring that. The key word phrase for the Hara on the basic level is personal responsibility. The mantra translates to, "Oh, mastery as an instrument, glory to the divine." Om Mishanaya Yantraya Swaha. This is Sanskrit. And the basic concept is learning how to direct energy throughout your body and eventually outside of your body. So there it is, the catch up on the Hara. I do highly recommend going to check out the other episodes and definitely including the root chakra, the science of meditation, and all of those gold nuggets. The stronger we are in the root, the more the other chakras will be in alignment. So if this is the first time you're hearing from me, hey, how you doing? And please go back and learn the other stuff first. All right. So let's tap into the idea of self-mastery versus control. This chakra practice is about personal responsibility, self-mastery. I would like to bring attention to the difference between the concepts of mastery and control. If I bring up, let's just do a vibe check. You can do this with anything. How does it make you feel? When I say control, we can sit with how that makes us feel. What is the energy of control? Take a deep breath into that. And then when I say mastery, when I say personal responsibility, how does that feel? The vibrations are different. I'll give my perspective, which is when I perceive and feel the energy of the word control and everything behind that. Control makes me think of someone who is in a place of fear. Control has me thinking of a desire to manipulate. And often control has, in my experience, less to do with controlling the self and more with controlling the external, which I don't know how long you've lived, but that idea is kind of hilarious. There are too many factors that are out of control, out of one's control. There's a whole universe at play here. There's a whole multiverse. So to control the external, that just, it brings in a whole vibration to me of fear and anxiety and exertion of energy, like a desperation to line everything up in a way that suits the person who is exhibiting the behaviors of control. And often the need, the want to control things can be so desperate that even if the factors of A through Z do come into control, it's not enough. It's not enough. And then there's the ever-expanding external, which will shift things as it does. Other people with their individual feelings and ways of beings and perspectives and control. I mean, I literally, in my mind, I'm thinking jail, a jail cell. I want to control this thing, so I will put it in a box and I will approach it when I'm ready. Now, I will say part of the reason I know about the difference in vibration between control and mastery is because I have had to do some work here. What I've found is that, especially, you'll hear me talk about trauma. You just will. It's part of my life work because I have worked through and released trauma through the practice of meditation, among other things. And it is tempting to try so hard and control things outside of us, because if we are coming from a place of fear, if we're coming from a place of unresolved trauma, then it is logical to a person in a state of fear to control the environment in such a way that would prevent us from experiencing that trauma again. So there is a certain amount of logic to a desire for controlling the external. Now, I would say that self-mastery, and already, I mean, it's like self-mastery. Like, to me, the difference is night and day. Self-mastery seems to come from a place of awareness of self and an intention of being able to navigate no matter what the external circumstances, events, variability is. So if I am working within the realm of self-mastery, this feels like going internal into the inner space, and control feels like using myself to manipulate the external so that it can suit me in the way that I think I need. There is a very large energetic difference between those two experiences. Control coming from someone who has experienced trauma and it is still unresolved. Self-mastery coming from someone who has been able to release, work through, transform by the trauma. And I also think of this beautiful visual that was given to me, this visualization of, and this is separate from the traditional Hara practice at the basic level. This is a visualization of water and earth, and visualizing a river and a cliff, or a mountain and a lake, whatever, and the earth falling, toppling down, rolling, rocks falling into the water, taking on the perspective of water as the rocks flow down, as they fall down, as gravity pulls the rocks down, as this sort of chaos ensues, the crumbling, so to speak. And then what does water do? If water was in the energy of control, water may want to, you know, put some blocks up, put some barricades up, say, no, you can't roll into me. No way. How can I manipulate myself to prevent the rock from coming into my space? Whereas the concept of self-mastery in water, if I take on the perspective of water, what does it actually do? How does it actually behave in nature? And when a rock from a mountaintop falls into water, a stream, a lake, a river, water accepts, flows around, receives, and lets the rock do what it does, while the water, the master of itself, will account for the changes without any issues. The nature of water is such a beautiful point of consciousness to explore because of its behavior, how it receives these things. So maybe that can help you in your practice of self-mastery. Please let me know in the comments below how you feel about self-mastery, how you feel about control, how you feel about the potential differences between the two and how they may apply to yourself. And the self-mastery, that really, it comes from knowing oneself. It is a process, a journey, a lifelong one probably, because we're just constantly shifting and evolving. The nature of change is within everything that is of the universe. Let's talk about how to identify weak and strong points within us when it comes to chakras. Now, the chakras include physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social. That is how I have perceived a chakra's energy. It's not just the physical, although focusing in on the physical will unlock the other aspects of the chakra. So how can we, let's say we have a deficiency in the Hara, which is not uncommon right now, along with the root, some instability. There is a lot of control out there, a lot of outer manipulation, no doubt. No doubt. You can't tell me otherwise. So how can we identify our weaker points of energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and use our stronger points of energy after identifying them and flow the energy of the strong points into the weaker points? This is a technique that I will use when I'm working with people one-on-one. By the way, I do guide meditations on Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays in the Northwest Arkansas area. Follow Light Diamond Creative on Instagram for more information, okay? Wednesday and Thursday nights at the Human Experience starting at 7:30. Fridays and Saturdays at Eureka Springs Community Center starting at 11. One-on-one appointments has not been my focus here right now, although I've worked with people a lot one-on-one, and a technique that I use is first identifying the strong and weak points and then guiding the energy into the weaker points so that we can come to a more balanced state. So how would we even determine which are the weak and strong areas? There are a few different ways. It is easier if you're tapped into the energetic world. It is easier if you are aligned with your intuition. And it is easier if you believe it's possible. Some would call this woo-woo stuff, but all the science is coming out. Some of it has already come out. It's just not publicly, like the mass consciousness has not come to a point of understanding what all of this past science has already determined, including physics, quantum physics, how this reveals the flow of energy on a subatomic level. Not all of this is common knowledge right now, and that's okay. However, there are ways that we can individually determine our strong and weak points. And number one is intuition. What is intuition? Now, if you do have a weaker heart space, then it may be a journey for you to come into alignment with your intuition. I perceive the intuition to be the messages given to the spirit by the physical capabilities of the heart. The heart, now, I've read a couple different things. You've heard me say this maybe once before. I've read that the heart is 1,000 times more electromagnetic than the brain. I've also read that it's 5,000 times more electromagnetic than the brain. And that's a pretty big difference, okay? But what we know is that it is definitely a lot more electromagnetic than the brain. And this electromagnetism, it would be like if with every heartbeat, I'm sending out and receiving energy, waves of energy. And as these waves of energy encounter other waves of energy, then my body, if I'm at a certain point of awareness, can interpret the messages, the intelligence of my heart that is trying to get the information up to the brain from what it has perceived in the environment around it. This is the intuition. Oh, I have an intuitive hit about this guy or this thing or this event, or I have an intuitive hit about X, Y, or Z. Well, the heart is extremely intelligent. It's got a lot of the nervous system involvement around this area. It's got the electromagnetism of the space, and it is powerful. So can we come into alignment with the intuition in order to determine our weaker and stronger chakras? I would say yes. Some of the things I ask people in meditation class are how when I'm pointing out a certain chakra in the body of the 9 chakra system, which one do you feel a hit at, a hit of energy within yourself? If I'm mentioning the root chakra and I'm going all the way up the spine, at which point does your body have a physical reaction? Does your heart skip a beat? Do you have a twitch? When I mention heart chakra, root chakra, throat chakra, etc., all of them, that is a way of practicing tapping in with the intuition, because that when I'm leading you to a point of focus, and if it's resonating with your body will have a physical reaction or an emotional reaction, which is a physical reaction on a physiological level. And so can we become aware enough to determine where our weak points are by the way we respond and react physically, mentally, emotionally, as we are brought to a point of focus on space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you are within yourself, you can ask yourself, you can just bring your hands along your body, along this central column. And whenever you come to a point of stopping, well, maybe that is the point of weakness or strength. We need to make it clear to the body what we're asking for. So I can ask myself, what are my weaker points right now? And just trust myself. It's a radical trusting process. You're connecting with the body. You're connecting with yourself. When I come to a stopping point with my hands, that's my answer. That's the answer. And even if you were wrong, it's not bad to enhance the energy of any given space. So I can ask myself another question. Where are my strong points? Which are my stronger chakras? And flowing my hands along my body up and down the core, I come to a stopping point and I find my hands at a different space. So here are my strong points. You can practice this with yourself. Which are my strong points? Which are my weak points? And then we can make adjustments that allow the flow of energy to the weaker points from the stronger points. There are a couple other ways of determining the weak and strong areas, aside from what your intuition tells yourself. Listen, if there has ever been a point to come in touch with your intuition, that was that point, all right? And then the responses of the physical body, like look at a picture of a chakra lineup along the body. And if you are drawn to a certain spot visually after asking yourself, where are my weak points? And if you're drawn to a certain spot, well, that's it. That's your body conveying to you the information that you're asking for. So then asking myself again, what are my strong points? I'm looking at a graph or a diagram of the chakra layout. It could be 7, it could be 9. You're probably not going to find a lot on the 9. I'll try to make them at some point so that they're widely available. I've got them on a poster board at the moment and not online. So anyways, find your graph, find your diagram. And if I'm drawn to a space of the body after asking myself, or you asking yourself, what are my strong points? And I'm visually keying into a certain point or two, then that, again, is your answer. There is also a way of reading the chakra flow through the use of a stone, a pendulum. Now, here we go again, Martha, with the woo-woo stuff. But here's the thing, is that the body is creating electromagnetic currents, and every piece of matter, large, small, has electromagnetism. And so when I'm, again, working with somebody one-on-one, especially in first-time appointments, I take a pendulum, which is a stone, and I hover it over each chakra one at a time. There are certain ways that the pendulum swings clockwise to show open flow, counterclockwise to show closed flow. Sometimes it will swing back and forth in a line, and depending on the direction of that, it's telling me that it is partially open or partially closed. So if you have someone who has a pendulum, you can go get one for yourself, although it's harder to do over oneself, but you can. You just got to keep a steady hand. That's one of the keys of using a pendulum, is not being too tied into what you want the results to be, and keeping your hand steady enough to allow the answer to be shown through the swing. So just keep that in mind if you do decide to use a pendulum swing, or you can meet up with people like me that have one and are practiced in using it to help you determine weak and stronger points. Another way of determining weak and strong areas, we can think about the concepts that go along with the chakras and feel around the themes that are going on in our lives, what we're thinking about, what's going good, what's going not quite as good, and we can match up what is going on with us to the concept that is tied, so to speak, with each chakra. Now, it will vary depending on which chakra system you're using, and I do recommend looking for a practice that is more ancient, because I believe those hold more truths in them, and the chakra system has been westernized a lot, which is fine. But if we really want to get down to the root, then I would try to find something that's a little older, or at least find the themes associated with each chakra that have a consistency when you look in one place or another. Or, what you could do is even make your own lineup. What does the root chakra mean to me? What does the heart chakra mean to me in a shadow state and in a healthy state? What do all of these mean to me? And make your own associations and just write a list and keep them consistent. And then using that diagram, then at any point you can ask, okay, which chakra needs assistance, which chakra is doing well, because this is happening in my life right now. This is what I'm thinking right now. And you know what? This thought really seems to be associated with personal responsibility. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into the Hara. Are you getting all this? I'm about to cap this episode. We're about to cap it off, my friend. So one more note that I would love to illuminate before we hop off this episode is about clearing and blessing spaces. So let's just bring back into our awareness the fact that When we repress, suppress emotions or thoughts, if they do not become expressed, and especially if they are negative, it could be trauma experiences, negative thought patterns, something that you are wanting to say to somebody, but you never do. When those are kept inside the body, even though it's energetic, even though it's thought, even though it's feeling, if it's not expressed, they become locked into the body. And so when I'm going through a meditative process and paying specific attention to root chakra or to Hara chakra, for example, then I am able to clear energetic space out of the Hara by bringing awareness to the space, bringing awareness to the physical location, unlocking the energetics of it, mental and emotional, spiritual, beyond, unlocking these planes, unlocking these aspects so that these energies are no longer repressed. This is the clearing process. This is where the clearing of trauma comes out, the clearing of negative thought patterns that are associated with one chakra or another. So when we're able to clear that energetic space, like plucking out the weeds, although I gotta throw in there some of this shit ain't weeds. That's a different episode. Oh my gosh. Some of these weeds growing, you were told were weeds to dissociate you from your environment and your local medicines. But this is me getting off topic. The clearing process is optimizing the space of the Hara chakra or whatever chakra we're talking about. And then the clearing of energy, let's say that let's look at a sphere. Let's pretend we've got a sphere right in front of us. We've got all this energy in it, some less than optimal, and we're picking to clear that out. Maybe some of the energy is actually other people's thoughts and emotions that are not in alignment with who we are authentically. So maybe we would like to clear some of that out, sweep it out, brush it out, reorganize. So this energy that's contained within a sphere, let's say half of the energy is cleared out. So that leaves me with a sphere that is half full from your fellas optimist. So we've got a sphere that is half full and half of the sphere is a void that seeks to be replenished with some sort of energy. So this is where the blessing of the chakras comes in. And if you listen to or pay attention to Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about the measurable benefits in the electromagnetic field from blessing a certain space. This is like, I have cleared the ground for planting, and now there is space for something to come in. It's organized, it's optimized for something to come in. I don't want to just leave it empty because then anything could come in. I don't want to just leave a chakra unblessed because that will leave a void for whatever. Maybe even those same patterns we just cleared out will come back in because we didn't like, how do I say? Let's just say we didn't create an intention to fill that chakra back up so that it would bring in the frequencies that we desire or would like to experience in our manifested 3D life. So when we clear space and there is that void, we would like to bless that space. You know, maybe bless isn't the best word to use for you. We could also say blessing the space is like intentionally planting in the frequencies of our desires. And then we need to ask ourselves, you know, here comes the theme of mastery, knowing oneself. What do I know that I want? What do I know that I need? What is it that I seek? This could be external stuff. It could also be an internal state of being. So when I'm working with people, when I'm working with myself too, I use the classics that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about because he's scientifically proven through measurable changes in the field which frequencies optimize the space the best, whichever space we're talking about. And those frequencies are love. Big surprise. Also, gratitude, being grateful, being thankful, giving focus to what is going well, enabling us to grow those spaces. Love, gratitude, joy, freaking joy. Plant some. This is what I talk about in the meditations as we go up. Sometimes I just can't help but be like, gratitude, planting in love, gratitude, abundance, planting in abundance, asking for abundance, the frequency of it to come into the space of the chakra that has received clearing, so that there is a seed, so to speak, in the space that will grow as it's nurtured, as it gets what it needs. Love, gratitude, abundance, joy. We can plant in anything. Like, what do you want? And abundance doesn't have to be limited to financial, material abundance. If you listen to one of the last episodes, we talked about how materialism has actually been seen to be an obstacle for achieving enlightenment during the period of Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, which we are in right now. So, manifesting abundance to the point of needs being met and wants, being met too, with the awareness that going overboard can really block us. But other types of abundance include abundance in relationship, abundance in loving connections, abundance in fun experiences, abundance of abundance. I'm blessing my Hara chakra with abundance of abundance. And that's it for this episode, people. Thanks for listening. It's been a good talk. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please feel free to comment in the space below the video. Please feel free to follow Light Diamond Creative on Instagram, Facebook, and where else? You already heard it here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that. Help grow the channel so that the algorithm can get this video out, the information out to people who need it, want it, deserve it, whatever. And again, if you are overflowing in monetary abundance and you want to send $1 over to your girl, you can find Light Diamond Creative on Cash App and on Venmo. I hope this serves you. Excuse me. Throat chakra. I hope this serves you. And I will be with you in the next episode. Peace.